Brandon Miller, how do you do? Man, that's such an old, not such an old, but still an old highlight. But I remember watching this game live on TV, live. I wasn't there in person, but actually remember this. Man, that just means I've consumed a lot of sports over the years. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sports Spotlight. I'm your host, Rizwan, and we are back. We are back uh, every Sunday from 10 a.m. until noon. We are here, right here on Radio Azad, radioazad.us, and 107.9 FM HD4 right here in the DFW area. And with me to discuss not just basketball, but all things from the world of sports, I've got my good friend and a wonderful basketball mind, Manny from Kansas City. Manny, welcome. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Rizwan. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, every day something's different. Something's different. And today, for whatever reason, my headset is a little off, a little
Hmm.
not right. I usually I hear myself very, very loudly in my headset. I think I've got the right setting. Everything, the output on the equipment looks fine, except I don't hear myself quite as loudly, which is probably a good thing. Probably a good thing for my eardrums, right?
You're getting old, man. That's what it
And
is.
maybe that's what it is. Maybe I got old since last Sunday, actually last Wednesday, because I do Chandni Rate on Wednesday nights. But anyway, hey, a lot has happened in the world of sports over the past 7 days. And we kind of touched on this, but I really wanted to dive deep into the whole Mr. James packing up his talents and taking them over to not South Beach this time. He decided to take them over to the 76ers. The process meets one of the greatest players of all time. Did you hear me hesitate?
You got to come on board with that, man. Come on.
Hey, so look, he's 42 years old. Is he going to be 43 before the next NBA season gets kicked off, or is he still going to be 42? I don't
I
know.
think, yeah, December is where his birthday is in.
Okay, so he'll still be 42 when the season gets going. 42,
Yeah.
43, it really doesn't matter when you're talking about in the 40s. I mean, it's unprecedented the level of play that LeBron is showing at this age, right? I mean, obviously, one of the people in the GOAT conversation, in the definitely in the top 10, top 5 type conversations, Mr. Lou Alcindor, who became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? He played well into his 40s. You had Carl Malone hanging on until like 39 or 40, right? That last season he had with the Lakers. Uh, we have players once in a while hang hang around that late, but no one in the history of the sport has performed at the level that LeBron is performing right now at 42. Right? I think that's
No,
there's no arguing that.
not at all. Which 42-year-old that is built like him and still in that kind of shape?
Yep.
He's still performing like he was in his like mid 30s, early 30s. He's phenomenal shape, and the regimen he goes throughout the year to stay in that top shape is exemplary. So no, I think he's defying age, man. So he definitely has been producing very well, as you can see this late.
He has. Um eh, you know, if the Lakers had not acquired Luka Doncic in that fleecing of the Dallas Mavericks that took place a year and a half ago, LeBron would still be last year at 41 and 42. He would have still been the best player on that team, even if Anthony Davis were there, right? Let's say that trade doesn't happen a year and a half ago. Last
Mm-hmm.
season, if there's no Luca on that team, I understand people want to talk about Austin Reeves and what he's bringing to the table. I know the Lakers kind of got cornered into giving him a max contract, but I don't care how well Austin Reeves has played. If there's no Luka on that team, LeBron at 42 is the best player on that roster, right?
Absolutely.
He's
I
that good
agree.
at this age.
Yeah.
It, it,
Crazy.
it just doesn't make sense. But hey,
No.
modern science, modern diet, his
Mhm.
commitment, his mental toughness, right?
Genetics too.
Genetics,
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely genetic. Look, genetics absolutely play a role, but I don't care how big of a lottery you hit in the genetics department.
Hmm.
To be an athlete, to perform at this level, at the highest level of the sport, the NBA, right? This is the best of the
Yep.
best. At age of 42, this requires commitment. This requires mental fortitude. I can't even imagine. Look, maybe I'll be proven wrong, and maybe it turns out that LeBron is eating hot dogs and ice cream every day, and he's just that lucky with genetics. But I doubt it.
No.
I think
No.
it is not an 8 month commitment that it takes for the
Oh, it's
the
year
mini
round with
camps
him
and
for
everything. This
sure.
is a
Hyperbolic
365.
chamber. I mean, everything he does is top of the game. Like he's learned a lot from some of the other players, like what Tom Brady does with his diet. I mean, LeBron is definitely in that category of athletes that are supremely aware of what they need to put into their body and how they need to be conditioned throughout the year. So no, it's not an 8 month thing with him. It's year round.
Yeah,
And yeah, absolutely.
for sure, for sure. All right, so enough glazing LeBron James. We can, for those of our listeners who've been listening to us for a while, Manny and I go back and forth, and I've definitely said over the last couple of months, over the last 3 or 4 months, that there is more of a conversation to be had. Like, I mean, I was completely dismissive, even as late as about a year ago, that no, like there's no ground for having a goat conversation with LeBron over my MJ, right? But I've uh, I've come around. What he's doing, what he's done, what he's accumulated. I always used to say this about Michael, that people would say, well, he just played so long and then he came back. He came back and played for the Washington team and the Wizards. Um, and that's why he accumulated. No, look, first he missed those 3 years and then came back, but he was still producing. But boy, even MJ with those Wizards was not producing. Yes, he had the 50-point game. Yes, he showed flashes. But MJ, and I'm forgetting how old he was. I want to say I I think he was 38 when he came back, and he played 2.5 seasons or 2 full seasons. So he might have been 40 by the time he retired. He wasn't 42. And Manny, you and I both have lived through that gap, that jump from the 30s to your 40-year age, and then the 40 to 41 and the 41 to 42.
Yeah.
That stuff accelerates. Right? That's not going from 40 to 42 is not like going from 30 to 32. There's a difference. There's a difference. The decline definitely accelerates. So 40 and 42 at the NBA level is not comparable. That's a huge difference. And for LeBron to be performing this way, that's not comparable to what Michael was doing with the Wizards. I'm going to go in this break, unless you have time. I'm going to look up Michael Jordan's age years that he spent with the Wizards. I'm pretty sure he touched the 40s, but barely.
38 to 40.
30. Okay.
He was
Hey,
38. Yeah, those 2 years.
wow. I was marveling when I started the thing. I was listening to that highlight of Miller of the Charlotte Hornets slamming that runaway breakaway dunk, and I was like, I remember watching this. I remember exactly where I was sitting in front of which TV, and this is just some random game of random teams, right? But that just highlights how much sports consumption I've done over the years, and Uh, I mean, I'm a little surprised that I knew the ages exactly of something that happened 25 years ago. I understand it's Michael, but still. But yeah, 40 to 42 is a whole different ball game, and what LeBron's doing is just absolutely phenomenal. So let's get to what this means. First off, caveat, right? Look, LeBron is going to be 6 months older by the time the next, I guess less than that. We're in August already. The next season, what's crazy, right? The NBA season opens when? They get going in
Um,
November.
is it November? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. College
Uh,
also starts, I think, right after Halloween, like
yeah.
late night.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not that far away. It's not that
No.
far away. And of course, the mini camps, the all of that. I forget. Not mini camps. What do they call it? Whatever it is, the preseason is going to get kicked off in October. So it's not that far away. But still, LeBron, when the season starts, is not going to be the LeBron who ended the season. I understand that. I give that caveat. But we also said this last year. We said it the year before. We said it the year before that, right? So, knowing what we know, we think we're going to have a similar LeBron, maybe slight decline, but a similar LeBron. A LeBron who could flirt with a triple double, right? A LeBron who could give you 30 plus minutes and 20 plus points and 5 assists and rebounds, right? We think he can still do that. We think on this team, even factoring in some decline, this team being the 76ers, on this team, factoring in some decline, LeBron's going to be the third best player. At worst, he's going to be the third best player on that team, right? Embiid, Maxi, and then it's LeBron. I mean, we're not
But
putting Jalen
Jalen
Brown.
Brown,
Are we putting
yeah.
Jalen Brown ahead of him yet?
I mean, I think Jalen Brown is probably the number
He's a
one
monster.
option
He
on that
is.
team, to be honest.
So we'll get into that. I think the 76ers are going to have a bit of a problem on their hands, and we'll get to that. If not toward the end of this segment, we'll definitely after the break, after the 10:30 break, we'll definitely be getting into it. I think they're going to have a little bit of problem of not just. I mean,
Too many scorers.
too many mouths to feed, right? Too
Yeah,
many
there's
mouths to
25.
feed.
They're all averaging like 25 points. Four players.
Well, I
There's
guarantee you.
LeBron and Embiid. Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you
Jalen
that.
and Kyrie.
Yeah, I guarantee you they're not all going to be averaging 25. They're not putting up 100
Right.
points between those four next year. It's just not going to happen, right? So then who gives up? But that's a problem for later. We'll
You
get
heard
into that.
They're gonna have LeBron play as point guard as well, right?
I mean, they could play
I
him
heard
at
he's gonna
point
be bringing
and
the
put
ball up.
Maxi at
Yeah.
shooting, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Brown plays small forward. That's a scary lineup, right? Embiid center, and then Edgecombe can play power forward. Ugh. I mean, it's a scary lineup in theory.
You do know that LeBron obviously is the all-time scoring leader in NBA history, but he's also fourth in assists, so that guy can certainly pass.
That is crazy.
And
That's
yeah, if he brings the ball up, man, with all those shooting options, that is a deadly team. So it's going to be scary. Whoever's going to be playing Philadelphia this year.
it is. So we'll get into the problems. Right now, we're thinking happy path that LeBron is able to slide into this roster, right? And they become this monster that we envision when we look at the pieces on paper, right? This is going to be a monstrous roster. Just a scary, scary opponent night in and night out. So, what does that do? I think, first of all, and this is going to sound disrespectful because who are the defending champs? New York Knicks. But I'm not even. I think when I start looking at when this announcement happened, immediately I started to think, oh my God, what does this mean for the Celtics? Because the Celtics have been not just historically across the past few decades, right? Recently, over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been the Celtics in the East. right? Other teams have
Mhm.
emerged, but the Celtics have been the class of the East for at least the last 3, 4, 5 years. Have
Mhm.
been dominating it, have a championship under their belt over my Dallas Mavericks with Luca, and and was Brunson on that team? That was Luca and Brunson, right? Yeah,
In Dallas, yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
yep. Um, so they have a championship. They've been the class of the even the year they were not the first seed, right? They were still the best team. They've just got so much talent, and Brad Stevens does a great job running that organization. So my first thought was, what does this do to the Celtics? What does this mean for their chances next year? So your thoughts, Manny. What does this mean for the Celtics?
I mean, I think yeah, Celtics. They they certainly don't figure into the conversation for me for the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, usually you could put them in there almost every year representing the East, but with this Jalen Brown move, I don't see them getting. I mean, past either New York or Sixers. They did pick up what's his name, Paul George, right? He's with the
Yeah,
Celtics now, so they do have. I mean, they do have him and Jason Tatum. I think Derek White is a great player too, but really, they're missing that scoring punch that Jalen Brown brought. Paul George is now what I think 36. He's still
yeah,
got a
and
little
he's
bit of
an old 36,
yeah.
right?
I
He's
mean, he's
been
still got a little
declining.
bit in his tank, but no, I think the Celtics went down a little bit after this trade. They lost a huge scorer and good two-way player with Jalen Brown. So I think Celtics are probably the third best team in my view now after this trade in the East. So I really have New York and 76ers as the ones to look for
One,
as
two.
Eastern Conference champions.
All right. Well, look, I just mentioned Brad Stevens. I just mentioned how well he has run that organization, drafting crafty trades, and then performance in the playoffs. But I think he's going to rue the day he decided to not trade Jalen Brown. Right? I think that was bound to happen. It was going to be pretty impossible for them to have
Mm,
two supermax contracts between Brown and Tatum. I mean, that's just the reality of the new NBA. I get it,
right.
but to trade him within his conference instead of shipping him out to the West was a mistake.
Yeah.
But then to trade him to a team that literally, even before LeBron, like this is what they needed, right? They had a dominant center, they had a dominant guard, they needed a dominant wing. So I don't know what Brad Stevens was thinking trading him to the 76ers, but he gave them exactly what they needed. And now they've got two of them with Brown and LeBron. And yeah, and that's the greatness of LeBron, right? We were just talking about him as a point guard a second ago. Now I'm talking about him as a really strong wing because he can do all of those things. But yeah, man, that 76ers roster, it, even if it's a LeBron who's an 80 to 90% of what he was with the Lakers last year, with Jalen, with Embiid, with Edgecombe, with
Yeah.
Maxi, with the rest of their bench. I think I know you like the Knicks, and you're a little bit more of a the champs are the champs until somebody unseats them, so you got to show them that respect. I, I'm not seeing the Knicks as the team in the East. I'm seeing the Sixers as the team in the East.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Embiid still stays healthy, that's the big
That's always
worry
the
I have with the 76ers and Joel Embiid. He's a phenomenal player, man, but he's got those injury bug quite a bit. So I'm hoping that they do have. I think they have Dean Wade at the center, and they picked up someone else, another almost 7 footer, Adam Bona. But Joel Embiid is a big part of that that offense and defense, rim protection. So I hope he stays healthy. Then the 76ers have a great chance to be champions in this coming season. But if he goes down, they better have, some good backups to come in and help out, because it's a big part of this whole mix is Joel staying healthy.
Yeah. No, you are absolutely right. One of the major things, especially when it comes to the NBA, these superstars with their supermax contracts, right? The first step to contributing to the team's cause is availability. If you ain't available, you ain't contributing. And
Right.
with Embiid, it's year after year, and it's always something different, right? It's a toe, it's an elbow,
The knees, it's the
yeah,
hamstring, it's the back. Oh my gosh,
yep.
he's had it
It's
all.
it's a shame because yes, when he's out there, when he plays, he's still a dominant force.
Oh
I
yeah,
heard something ridiculous. Somebody was those ridiculous online conversations that happen. Here's my starting five. See who can beat this starting five, whatever. And when it came to the center position, somebody was saying, "Well, I'd put Embiid in there." I'm like, stop it, Embiid over like center position all time, right? You're
oh
talking
yeah.
Wilt, you're talking Abdul Jabbar, you're talking,
No, he's
yeah,
not in the all-time
yeah,
conversation for me at
yeah.
all yet.
You got
At all.
Shaq, you've got Hakeem the Dream. To me, the
Yeah,
best center, right?
Kareem. I'll take Patrick Ewing over Embiid.
Right, because
You know,
Patrick Ewing never missed a game. He missed a lot of shots in the playoffs, and
hey,
let's not open old wounds. Um,
no,
so yeah, I think the Sixers are the team to beat. Real quick, let's talk about old Pat Riley and what he was trying to do in Miami. Of course, he was
yeah,
trying to attract LeBron back, got one of the best players, one of the top five players in the NBA right now, Giannis, but then he wasn't able to land LeBron. What are they? The fourth, the fifth best, sixth best team? Where do they stand right now? So, in my estimation, I've got the Sixers. I have to put the Knicks in two because
yeah,
they just did it and did it. They did more with less, and they're bringing
right,
everybody back. So I have zero reason to doubt them. So two, I think the Celtics might still be three.
yeah. It's a
Um,
toss-up between them and the Heat, to be honest.
yeah, I
Um,
mean,
I mean,
and he just because of Giannis, right? I mean, he's a monster,
yeah.
still a monster,
I mean,
and
they still got Bam Adebayo. I mean, the guy scored what 80 points the other day, like last
81.
season. So Andrew Wiggins, former Jayhawk, he's a
Yeah.
good player as well.
And not to
Yeah,
mention, they've got Pat Riley running things, and Spolstra is still at this
yeah,
point. He was an unknown all those 16 years ago, but man,
yeah.
he's or more than that, 17, 18 years ago now. But
He's a Hall of Fame
he's a
coach for sure.
he's a grizzled veteran coach who's done it over and over. All right,
Yeah,
speaking of Miami, I want to talk about, and I'm gonna. This is a nice segue. I want to talk about the old Miami and the old 76er and the old Minnesota Timberwolf. Jimmy Butler was a Timberwolf. He's been everywhere, right? At this
yeah.
point, Jimmy Butler, is he done? I mean, the last couple of years, there was energy when he first went to the Golden State Warriors.
He was injured, right, last year?
It just banged up. We just talked
Yeah,
about first step to contribution is presence, and if you're not
right.
present, um, any word on is he coming back? Once he comes back, is he going to be that super alpha stud, lead your team, even though he hasn't been there? Because look, you're not going to be when you've got Steph Curry on the team, right? But any word on if he's going to be back to being old Jimmy Butler, or is this the end? Is this the decline, even if he comes back from the injury?
I saw an article a couple days ago on Jimmy Butler. There's a potential timeline for him coming back, even though there was some trade rumors. But he's coming off of, I think, ACL injury right back in January.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think recently he was on some trip overseas. You saw a little bit of it during the World Cup too, watching some of the soccer games down in Miami. But no, I think there is a lot of talk about they were trying to see if they could do a trade
Yeah.
with the Warriors for him for for players like Anthony Davis. But no, he's focused on coming back and doing one more run. I think Golden State also just signed what's his name?
Draymond Green came back.
Draymond, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the
So
that's the segue I was
Yeah,
looking for. We are at a time for a break, but yeah, we're gonna
Westbrook,
come
man,
back.
no one's picked up Russell Westbrook. Like, where is he gonna go? He's still got a little bit in the tank. You know?
He does. He's shown a little bit the last couple of years. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back with the spotlight. During the break, it's gonna stay trained on the Golden State Warriors because we got to talk about them. We'll finish the NBA conversation and then we'll move the spotlight over onto other sports. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad with your host Rizwan and Manny. We'll be right back.
Radio Azad, streaming in Dallas, Fort Worth, and